Why does Hollywood keep lying to you about what a real movie looks like? Because sanitized, boring blockbusters make money. But Tubi? Tubi is the filthy, beautiful underbelly of streaming, a digital sewer packed with depraved, forgotten treasures. These movies bite harder than any Oscar bait, and they vanish like whispers. No warning, no mercy. So stop scrolling. Your brain needs this toxic waste. Here are 15 cult classics on Tubi you need to watch before they disappear forever. Number 15. Hell Comes to Frogtown, 1988. Imagine Mad Max but with horny amphibian mutants and a fertility crisis so bleak that humanity's last hope is a washed-up trucker named Sam Hell. That is this movie. Nuclear war mutated most men into sterile frog creatures. Women rule what's left, but they need fertile males to reproduce. Enter Rowdy Roddy Piper as the reluctant stud forced to wear an exploding chastity device. His mission? Rescue captive fertile women from a frog-run fortress called Frogtown. The frogs speak in terrible puns. The action scenes look like a community theater fight club, and the villain is a giant frog queen with a whip. This movie has zero shame. It features a mutant frog ninja. It features a love scene between a human and a frog person played for uncomfortable laughs. The production design is cardboard and pure genius. Piper delivers every line like he's reading a ransom note. The frogs explode when you punch them. The plot is ridiculous, but the low-budget charm is unstoppable. Tubi streams this in surprisingly clean quality. Do not wait. Number 14. Freeway, 1995. What if Little Red Riding Hood was a foul-mouthed teenage delinquent, and the wolf was a charming serial killer named Bob? This movie answers that question with pure, unapologetic fury. Reese Witherspoon plays Vanessa, a white trash survivor from a broken home. She's on the road to her grandmother's house after her mom gets arrested and her stepdad goes down for something unspeakable. Bob, played by Kiefer Sutherland, picks her up. He seems kind. He seems helpful. He is absolutely a murderer. But Vanessa is no victim. She turns the predator-prey game inside out. The violence is brutal. The dialogue is razor-sharp. And the fairy tale references are twisted into something deeply American and ugly. This movie hates authority. It hates social workers. It hates polite evil. Witherspoon gives a scream queen performance that should have launched 1,000 cult followings. Sutherland chews every scene like a man who knows exactly how creepy he is. There's a scene involving a roadside diner and a gun that will live in your nightmares. There's another scene with a trailer park and a bathtub that redefines revenge. Number 13. Belladonna of Sadness, 1973. This is not a cartoon for children. This is a psychedelic nightmare painted in watercolor and rage. The story begins with a peasant bride named Jeanne. A brutal lord rapes her on her wedding night. The village laughs. Her husband does nothing. So Jeanne makes a deal with a phallic demon who promises power and vengeance. She becomes a black-robed seductress. She spreads chaos. She destroys every man who wronged her. But the price is her soul. The animation is hallucinatory. Images melt and reform in real time. Genitals become flowers. Blood becomes wine. The soundtrack pulses with proto-prog rock that feels like a fever dream. This movie was a box office bomb because 1973 audiences had no idea what they were watching. Today, it's a masterpiece of underground erotic horror. The rape scene is not gratuitous. It is a statement about feudal violence and female suffering. The demon's phallic shape is not subtle. It is a deliberate middle finger to censorship. Belladonna of Sadness spent decades unavailable. Restorations made it famous again. Tubi has a beautiful transfer, but rights disputes happen constantly. This movie disappears from platforms without warning. Watch it for the orgiastic ritual sequences. On number 12, The Wraith, 1986. A ghost car, a drag racing gang, and Charlie Sheen before he became a walking tabloid. This movie is pure 1980s desert noir. A mysterious black Dodge Turbo Interceptor appears in a small Arizona town. It challenges the local psycho leader, a sneering brute named Packard, to illegal street races. The car never loses. Its driver wears a full helmet. No one knows his face. Meanwhile, a sweet kid named Jake suddenly shows up looking suspiciously like the dead boy Packard murdered years ago. The connection is obvious, but the execution is hypnotic. The races are filmed at real dangerous speeds. The car makes a screaming jet-like sound that defies physics. Packard's gang includes a young Clint Howard and a pre-fame Sherilyn Fenn. The violence is stylish, the revenge is cold, and the romance between Jake and the dead boy's girlfriend is surprisingly tender for a movie where a supernatural vehicle melts opponents into fireballs. This is a ghost story for gearheads, a western for ravers. Tubi's print has that grainy, beautiful 35mm look. Streaming rights for The Wraith change hands like stolen car parts. Number 11. Death Ship, 1979. A rusty ghost freighter rams a cruise ship in the middle of the night. Survivors climb aboard the mystery vessel. Big mistake. This freighter was a Nazi torture ship in World War II. Now it hunts. Now it hungers. The captain, a skeletal figure who may be a demon or a ghost or both, plays mind games with the survivors. George Kennedy stars as a cruise line executive who loses his family and then loses his grip on reality. The ship itself seems alive. Engines start without hands. Walls drip blood. A child's voice echoes from empty corridors. This is slow-burn Canadian horror with a soundtrack that sounds like dying whales singing death metal. The twist? The ship wants a new captain. It will corrupt anyone who takes command. Kennedy's descent into Nazi memorabilia and sadistic orders is genuinely disturbing. The practical effects are grimy, the deaths are cruel, and the final shot of the ship sailing away with a new victim at the wheel is perfect nightmare fuel. Tubi has the uncensored international cut. The US version trimmed gore and swearing, not this one. This one has a scene where a woman is dragged underwater by skeletal hands for a full 2 minutes. Death Ship was lost for years on VHS. Number 10. The Lair of the White Worm, 1988. Ken Russell directed this. That should tell you everything. The man who gave us Tommy and the Devils turned Bram Stoker's obscure novel into a psychedelic nightmare about a giant worm god hungry for virgins. A Scottish archaeologist digs up a snake skull near a convent. Soon locals vanish. A pagan cult rises, and a leather-clad villainess named Lady Sylvia, played by a pre-fame Amanda Donahoe, slithers through the plot with a phallic dagger and a pet snake. The worm is not computer-generated. It is a massive rubber puppet with drool and teeth. The dream sequences involve nuns. The love scenes involve hypnotism. And Hugh Grant appears as a young aristocrat who somehow survives all of this with his hair perfect. The dialogue is absurd, the accent work is wild, and there is a scene where Donahoe plays bagpipes while wearing lingerie for no narrative reason. Ken Russell was insane, beautifully insane. This movie is his tribute to British folk horror and lesbian vampire tropes and drug-induced visions of snake gods. Tubi has the uncut version with all the weird erotic interludes intact, but the rights belong to a boutique label that frequently rotates its catalog. One missed month, and this gem disappears. Watch it for the final confrontation where a giant worm eats a woman's head. Number 9. Destroy All Monsters, 1969. 11 kaiju. 1 alien plot. 0 mercy. This is the Avengers endgame of old-school Japanese monster movies, but made on a fraction of the budget with rubber suits and miniature cities. The setup is simple. Aliens take control of every major monster on Earth, Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, Anguirus, Gorosaurus, etc., and send them to destroy major cities simultaneously. A super rocket crew must infiltrate the alien moon base while the monsters rampage. The final battle takes place on Mount Fuji. All 11 monsters fight each other. King Ghidorah shows up as the alien's pet. Godzilla punches him in the neck for 10 straight minutes. The human story is barely there. The dubbing is legendary bad. But the monster action is relentless. Toho threw every creature they had into this movie. Some monsters appear for only 2 seconds. Some are literally just guys in suits rolling down hills. But the chaos is beautiful. Tubi streams the original Japanese version with subtitles and the American cut with terrible English dubbing. Watch both. The rights for Showa-era Godzilla movies are a nightmare. Different studios own different films. Destroy All Monsters vanishes from streaming every few years like clockwork. Right now it's on Tubi. Tomorrow? Who knows? Watch it for the scene where Godzilla uses another monster as a projectile weapon. Number 8. Meet the Feebles, 1989. Before Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson made this, a puppet musical black comedy about a theater troupe whose members include a drug-addicted frog, a crazed rabbit, a traumatized elephant, and a fly who runs porn shoots. The plot follows the Feebles as they prepare for a big TV special. The Hippo Diva fights with her abusive dog boyfriend. The Worm Soldiers have PTSD from Vietnam. The Fly director shoots hardcore puppet pornography, and the finale involves a machine gun massacre set to a show tune. This is The Muppets on crystal meth. Jackson pulls no punches. Puppet vomit, puppet genitalia, puppet suicide. The songs are catchy and vile. The puppet scene goes on for an uncomfortable eternity. And the villain, a mad rat with a machine gun, delivers a monologue about show business that is somehow touching and terrifying. Tubi has the uncut New Zealand version. The American version trimmed the most offensive bits. Not this one. This one has the full puppet syphilis scene. But Meet the Feebles is a rights nightmare because of music licensing issues. Jackson has said he doesn't care about preserving it, so it pops up on Tubi for months, then disappears for years. Watch it now. Number 7. Death Race 2000, 1975. David Carradine stars as Frankenstein, a surgically engineered racer whose face is a mask and whose body is a weapon. The future United States has become a speedway. The annual death race sends drivers from coast to coast. Points are scored for hitting pedestrians. More points for the elderly. Bonus points for infants. Yes, infants. The movie is satire. Brutal, unsubtle satire about America's love for violence and celebrity. Carradine's Frankenstein is the champion. His rival is Machine Gun Joe Viterbo, played by Sylvester Stallone in his pre-Rocky breakout role. The race cars look like go-karts with fiberglass shells. The gore is cartoonish. The political commentary would be heavy-handed if it wasn't so prescient. A resistance group tries to stop the race. The president is a glam rock dictator. And the final twist about Frankenstein's true identity is ridiculous and perfect. This movie inspired a generation of car combat films. Roger Corman produced it on a shoestring budget. The director Paul Bartel packed every frame with anarchic energy. Tubi has the original theatrical cut, not the terrible 2000s remake, the original, the one where pedestrians cheer before they get run over. Rights for Death Race 2000 are split between multiple distributors. Number 6. Basket Case, 1982. A young man named Dwayne carries a wicker basket everywhere he goes. Inside the basket is Belial, his formerly conjoined twin, a misshapen stop-motion puppet with razor claws and a murderous grudge. They come to New York City to kill the surgeons who separated them. Dwayne tries for a normal life with a girlfriend. Belial gets jealous. Belial kills. This movie was shot on a shoestring budget in late 1970s New York. The city looks like a rotting carcass. The acting is amateur. The special effects are glorious garbage. Belial is a floppy latex creation with one giant eye and flailing arms. His attacks are hilarious and horrifying at the same time. The director Frank Henenlotter filled Basket Case with deranged energy and genuine sadness. Dwayne and Belial love each other. That love is toxic and bloody. The final confrontation in a hotel room involves vomiting green slime and a murder that is simultaneously tragic and absurd. Tubi streams the uncut version with all the gore intact, but Basket Case has been pulled from streaming before due to music rights for its cheesy synth score. Do not wait. Watch it for the Times Square cameos. Number 5. Bride of Reanimator, 1991. The follow-up to Stuart Gordon's Reanimator goes bigger, grosser, and more perverse. Jeffrey Combs returns as Herbert West, the mad scientist obsessed with conquering death. This time he wants to create a female companion, not for himself, for his reanimated severed head of a former colleague. He builds a bride from body parts, including the heart of his assistant's dead girlfriend. The assistant does not know this at first. The bride wakes up. She chooses chaos. There is a scene involving a severed head performing cunnilingus on a corpse. There is a scene where a bat-winged monster attacks a hospital. There is a scene where a reanimated dog runs around with a human hand for a tail. The practical effects are astonishing. Screaming Mad George handled the gore. Limbs reattach themselves incorrectly. Eyes pop out and glare. The final bride creature is a masterpiece of latex and rage. Combs delivers his lines like a Bible-thumping prophet of decay. The humor is pitch black, the gore is relentless, and the ending is bleakly hilarious. Tubi has the unrated director's cut. The R-rated version cuts 15 minutes of depravity. Not this one. But Bride of Reanimator is owned by a studio that licenses to Tubi on a quarterly basis. Every 3 months it vanishes for a while. Then it comes back. Then it vanishes again. Catch it during this rotation. Number 4. The Stuff, 1985. A delicious new dessert appears on grocery store shelves. It tastes like ice cream but never melts. It comes in a plain white tub labeled The Stuff. Everyone loves it. Then people start turning into zombie-like puppets for the stuff, because the stuff is alive and it wants to eat you from the inside out. An FBI agent turned industrial mole investigates. A teenage boy who watched his family turn into stuffed zombies joins him, and a fast food magnate played by Paul Sorvino tries to profit from the crisis. The stuff oozes through ventilation systems. It crawls into mouths while people sleep. It speaks in a whispery voice that says, "Enough is never enough." This is consumer satire disguised as schlock horror. The director Larry Cohen wrote it as a direct attack on the food industry and the placebo effect of branding. The special effects are goopy practical marvels. A man digests himself from the inside. A woman explodes into a tidal wave of white goo. The stuff itself looks suspiciously like shaving cream mixed with yogurt. Tubi has the original theatrical transfer, not the terrible DVD reissue with missing scenes. The rights for the stuff belong to a defunct production company. Legal limbo means it could disappear from streaming forever at any moment. No warning. Number 3. Society, 1989. A teenage boy feels like an outsider in his wealthy Beverly Hills family. Everyone smiles too much. Everyone touches too much. His sister is too affectionate. His parents are too perfect. He thinks he's paranoid. He is not paranoid. The truth comes out during a party called The Shunt. Wealthy elites reveal themselves as shape-shifting creatures who wear human bodies like suits. They enjoy shunting, a grotesque fusion of bodies that looks like a ritual performed by melting wax figures. The finale is 30 minutes of non-stop body horror. Faces slide off torsos. Limbs merge into fleshy mounds. People disappear into other people's anuses. Yes, that happens. The special effects by Screaming Mad George are legendary for a reason. Every squelch, every stretch, every impossible contortion is practical. No CGI. Just latex lubricant and madness. The director Brian Yuzna asks a simple question. What if the 1% literally consumed the rest of us? The answer is a social satire that makes The Purge look like a bedtime story. Tubi has the uncensored version with all the shunting intact, but Society was banned in several countries for decades. Streaming rights are fragile. One complaint from a conservative group and Tubi might pull it. Do not wait. Watch it for the line, "You're eating me alive, you bitch." Watch it for the final image of a human body twisted into a pretzel of screaming flesh. Number 2. Trancers, 1984. A low-budget sci-fi masterpiece starring Tim Thomerson as Jack Death, a gruff future cop who hunts zombie-like creatures called trancers. How does he hunt them? By traveling back in time to 1980s Los Angeles. The future is a dreary underground city. The past is neon lights and punk rock clubs. Jack has to stop a madman named Whistler from killing the ancestors of the future's ruling council, and he has to do it while possessing the body of his own ancestor. The logic makes no sense. The acting is pure charm. Thomerson delivers lines like "dry hairs for squids" with deadpan perfection. Helen Hunt, yes, that Helen Hunt, plays a punk girl who becomes Jack's sidekick and love interest. She's 21 years old and absolutely game for the nonsense. The trancers are people whose minds have been bent into violent obedience. But Trancers is owned by a B-movie studio that regularly purges its streaming catalog for tax reasons. Yes, that's a real thing. Movies get written off as losses and disappear. Trancers could be gone next month. Watch it for the Christmas setting. Watch it for Jack's future laser gun that looks like a hairdryer. Number 1. Parents, 1989. Randy Quaid plays a 1950s suburban dad who loves his family. He also might be a cannibal. His son Michael is a 10-year-old boy who slowly realizes that the meat his parents serve at dinner doesn't come from the grocery store. The dreams are the best part. Michael dreams of raw flesh, of blood dripping from ceiling tiles, of his mother smiling with red teeth. The movie is a psychological horror film disguised as a black comedy. The 1950s set design is perfect. The pastel colors, the chrome appliances, the creepy, cheerful music. Quaid gives the performance of his career, a man who genuinely believes he is doing the right thing by feeding human remains to his child. This movie was banned in several countries for its suggestion that suburban bliss is a mask for monstrous appetite. Tubi has the director's cut with an extra 10 minutes of nightmare imagery. But Parents is a cult orphan. No major studio wants to claim it. Streaming rights lapse constantly. It appears on Tubi for a few months, then vanishes into the void. Watch it now. Watch it for the scene where Michael opens the refrigerator. Watch it for the school psychologist who doesn't believe him. Watch it because the most terrifying monster in cinema history is a smiling dad who just wants you to clean your plate. Parents is number 1 because it will disappear first. Don't let it. Eat your streaming queue while you still can.